going to feel
I know.
completely different.
Yeah, yeah.
Is that coffee you're drinking? Esben Willems of Monolord, thank you so much for being here. Okay. That's my introduction. Hope you enjoyed it.
Sweet. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
No, that's not coffee. I've had my day's ration of coffee like twice, I think. So trying to wind down for the day a little bit.
What is a day's ration of coffee for you?
I have no idea. It depends on what kind of day it is and if there's good coffee near me.
Mm-hmm.
At home we have one of these, really good cafe espresso machines, and that's working from home is dangerous. It's just like just one more. Just one more. They're so small, the espressos. There's just one more. Just one more.
That's it.
And same thing in rehearsing. Yeah, exactly. And same thing with rehearsing or working with the band. Like there's always a pot on, and there's always someone asking, "Want one more cup?" And trying to, no, I don't need one more cup, but okay, one more.
But yes.
Well, I don't know. That's a really bad answer. I have no idea.
No, it's fine. I
feel kind of being double.
I can see the drip roaster back there behind you.
Drip roaster.
Yeah.
Where?
Isn't that okay? Back on your left side. There it is. Yeah.
Yeah. That's just a regular.
Yeah. Yeah. We call that. I would call that a drip.
Okay, got it. Sorry. Then
as opposed to a pour over or French press.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, yes, correct.
So yeah, that's. Do you have a preferred roast?
I do actually. That's super nerdy. I shouldn't have it. But yeah, I do. Medium roast actually, because dark roast is kind of acidic sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Meat can get what I feel is the best with coffee. The smell when you brew it and the taste, and so usually.
I hear you.
Not only.
I feel like light roast in coffee is kind of the trend, right?
Okay. I believe you. I have no idea.
At least that's what my sister's husband tells me, because he reads coffee blogs.
He's probably right.
I don't. But I'm actually. I bought a medium roast from a band called Howling Giant in Nashville, I guess last week or something, and it showed up. And it's really solid. I usually have a dark roast and a medium roast that I go back and forth between.
Yeah.
But man, it is delicious. I was pleasantly surprised at how good it was. And it's exactly like you say, not too acidic, not too bright, but not burn tasting either. It's quite good.
Mellow. Smooth.
That's it. Smooth.
Exactly.
Yes.
It should be.
But now that we've spoken about coffee, I guess probably should talk about music a little.
Okay.
Now that we took care of the important stuff.
Yeah.
Hang on, actually, I'm gonna go downstairs and make some coffee. No, it's which would be nice. So last week, you guys, Monolord, put out the "I'm Staying Home" single.
Yes.
Now that was recorded in 2019. At the same time, you did "No Comfort."
Yes.
How did you know? How did you know everyone would be staying home?
We're like wizards. I mean,
it's amazing.
It's magic, black magic, coffee magic, something like that. I don't know.
Okay. That's an answer. That counts.
Or maybe slightly rewritten lyrics. I don't know. One of the two.
Right. Okay. Fair. That's good. That's good. You built the studio space, Berserk Studio, formerly Berserk Audio. Is that?
I didn't build it. I bought a studio that's been here for like 30 years from a guy that decided that I want to retire, and I want to find someone who will take my studio over and just run it the way I want to run it. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And I felt like this is a really good opportunity. We're in the middle of a pandemic, and all my job is just gone. It's really strange. It's upside down and everything. And I really didn't have the money to do this, but at the same time, it felt like now is the time to make that kind of investment and trying to get this rolling.
Hmm.
So I took over a working studio. And just I'm just settling and making it mine and planning what to keep and what not to keep and what to rebuild and not to rebuild over the years to come. I guess
Hmm.
it's super expensive to build anything or buy anything or change anything in a recording studio, obviously. So the first thing we're doing is recording the next Monolord album here, and actually trying to figure out with that. And I'll just go from there. Just go from there.
What are you? I mean, obviously, it's got to be kind of a new experience, right? I mean, Monolord, you've produced and recorded yourselves before, but kind of doing it in this, I don't know, this context where it's your space. Does that make it any different, or is it just
It does because it's a different space, but it's kind of this exactly same thing and completely different at the same time. Because we have a guy with us working with us this time, like we did on the last album. He's gonna co-produce and he's gonna be the sound tech on this one, alongside me. Um, but I mean, we're still our own producers mainly, and we still work like we usually work. So it's more like the surroundings are different, but the method is kind of the same. If that
well,
makes sense.
yeah, no, it's
Yeah.
like no. I'm sorry.
No, yeah,
Explain
I
again,
know.
please. Start
I'm
over. Start over.
traveling always.
Esben Willems of Monolord, thank you so much for. No, I'm kidding. Uh, well, how? Okay, so how is it going? Where are you in the recording?
We haven't started yet.
Oh,
We're starting about next week.
okay.
But I mean, it's when you record, it's kind of you have this date that this is the date that the recording starts, but at the same time, it's all kind of gray zones because we've been working with this album for a long time, and the only difference next week is that we're gonna hit record when we practice more or less.
Right.
So we have already started the work on that. So yeah, it feels good. We've had production rehearsals at this space for the past 2 weeks,
Mhm.
and it's really good. It's a good sounding room, and it feels good.
Awesome.
So yeah,
That's,
boring answer. It feels good. That's
no,
it.
no, that's a good answer. I mean, if it was no, we're gonna knock down walls. I guess it would take longer. I don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Um, well, I guess tell me then about the band writing. I don't know. I think you did a Days of Rona feature and the questionnaire last year for
Oh, that's right. Yes.
my
Yeah.
site, and you mentioned at the time that Sweden wasn't really under any kind of lockdown. Uh,
Uh,
what's the situation there, and what was the situation as you guys were writing this material?
we weren't that affected. Usually, the process is that Thomas writes the the bulk of the songs, writes the song, takes it to where we rehearse, and we make it our own, rearrange sometimes, and just try to find the voice for each specific song, and that's how we work. That's a really frustrating, tedious process, but it's worth it every time. And we always work it so all three of us are satisfied with what the sound of everything is, which is the big part of the process, the long part. It's really hard to always find the expression of the songs the way that all three of us feel like this is both mine and this is the band's. And it's been the same process this time. And since we haven't had any real restrictions other than you shouldn't meet too many people, and if you do, try to keep the social distancing, which we have, even more now with the bigger stage, of course. But we haven't been affected that much. So the difference in Sweden from the last time we spoke or wrote is that pubs and restaurants and bars and such are restricted more. There's a certain amount of people that can sit with at each table, and a certain amount that could be at each specific place, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
We can still work as long as we kind of keep a distance and be careful.
It's kind of a novelty in itself. I mean, you know, I don't know, just to be able to function normally in some way. You know, you mentioned jobs disappearing and things like that. And obviously you can't get out and tour, but at least you can kind of at least you can get to
work with the band. Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, a lot of jobs have disappeared because of the pandemic, of course.
Of course.
I'm usually a conference sound check in between tours, and that's gone. That went like within 1 week in March last year, and there's been nothing since. Not even like anything, apart from the odd Zoom meeting here and there, which I've done the sound on, but that's about it. So it's a really weird feeling here, because same thing there. It's exactly the same as always and not at all, because our daily lives is kind of the same, but a lot of things have just shut down. A lot of the workplaces have shut down or have moved. So I mean, if you work in an office, you probably work from home right now, and have been for like the past year. So offices closed and people work from home. So yeah, it feels really good to be able to work with the band, but at the same time, it feels extremely frustrating to not be able to tour or do much else than write music and record music, which is great, of course. That's the thing. But not being able to tour is, it's frustrating.
I mean, I would think, all the more because, Monolord, you guys have worked pretty efficiently, pretty quickly since the first record. You put out albums. You're going on album 5 in 7-8 years. That's pretty solid, and you've toured all the while. It's got to be kind of, even though you can kind of work on new stuff, it's got to be a very frustrating restlessness to not be out, to not have that kind of momentum. I mean, you guys were kind of, you did tour for No Comfort, but I can't imagine, not enough. Yeah,
No, it stopped. Just after that, it just stopped. Like, cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's frustrating. But that at the same time, I don't know if you know, but we decided to take a half-year break from touring.
Yes.
After the last tour we did in the US on No Comfort.
Yep.
Just for that exact reason. Like, we've been touring like crazy, just needed a breather, just to take it all in and get the energy back up again. And then the pandemic hit, so kind of a long break. But at the same time, I mean, I love touring. I love being on stage. I love meeting the fans. It's amazing. But I also miss my family so much on tours. So that's the upside of the pandemic, actually, being at home and enjoying family life. And I think all three of us really needed that. Just we had to stay home, and that's a good thing in this case. But of course, I want to tour again. We all do, and we don't know when it's going to happen again. I mean, in theory, it's going to happen maybe this summer, maybe the fall, but that's a big maybe. So much can happen.
Yeah.
So we don't know.
That's it. I've seen a few tour press releases coming in where it's like, we're going to play this thing in April, maybe.
Yeah.
there's so much that's who the hell knows.
I hope it happens. I mean, I'm seeing those as well, but I mean, April. It feels like it feels kind of unlikely, but I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah,
And when we ask in the business that's been doing this for like all of their lives, they don't know.
no,
We're all guessing. We have no idea.
that's it. It's like I'm rooting for it. Like
Yeah,
I hope it happens.
exactly.
Go get them. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
you know,
Yes, but maybe.
yeah, exactly. But in the meantime, everybody's staying home. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Um, what are do you have like I don't know, can you even make a release plan for a next album, or is it the kind of thing where
Uh,
sit and
I
wait?
mean, we I know what you mean, and we can, but that's the same thing there. I mean, it's we got to go with what we think is most likely and build on that. That's all we can do, and
Yeah,
that's all Relapse can do. I mean, they know as little as us, so they can just guess. So I have no good answer at all for that. I don't know
yeah,
either. It's kind of hoping we can base a tour or more tours on it, but we don't know if we can. But I really, really hope we can. So yeah, we'll see.
has well, being in that position where you were going to take the break from touring anyway, kind of puts you in an interesting spot, right? Anyhow, but having had now another half year on top of that, plus whatever, uh, how how has the pandemic reshaped how you feel about Monolord?
It's a really good question. Um, I think the break we needed, uh, it's this might sound weird, but I think it made us, at least me, appreciate the band even more. Because when you're in the middle of some really intense period, you don't really see it for what it is until you have some perspective on it. I mean, you can enjoy it, and we go on stage, and it's amazing. But when we kind of have a little bit of distance from it, it's kind of it's falling into place, and I feel that I appreciate what we've accomplished even more, and I was ecstatic about it before, but I'm even more now when I realize where we are as a band, and then that uh, we've actually have had kind of an income on the band during the pandemic because of supported bands that keep buying albums and buying merch and yeah, sustaining us somewhat,
Mm.
and that's amazing. I mean, that doesn't happen, and it still happens. So that feels. But I don't know. I don't think I'll know the full answer until we start touring again, because I suspect that the next tour is going to feel really different than the last tour did for so many reasons. Uh, because there's going to be like 2 years in between, and a lot of things happen. You always grow as a person, hopefully. Um, uh, so it's going to be different, but I don't know in what way, actually. But it's going to be interesting. But it feels like it's going to be in a good way.
Hmm.
Again, if that makes sense. But it's really it's kind of guessing, but I don't know. I appreciate where we are a lot, and it's going to be exciting to see what the next tour is going to feel like and look like, and what's going to be, and what touring is going to be, because we most likely won't come back to the exact same touring environment like last time.
Yeah,
But again, I don't know what the difference is going to be, but I think it's going to be different in many ways. Uh, Venues are gone, and a lot of things have happened in the business. But it's going to be gonna be kind of wild, I think.
Yeah.
But
No, I
interesting.
mean, you know, think about just being in a place near a lot of people. You know, I feel like
It's gonna feel so strange.
that's it. My entire my entire frame of physicality has changed. Like I can't
Yes, yes, exactly. I feel the same.
like go to the grocery store now and I'm like, hey, can we back off with the
Yeah,
cart,
yeah,
please? You know, it's
same thing here.
you know, you think of all the shows you've stood, you know, this close to some
Yes,
terrifying. Uh,
usually different. I have the same meeting on the sidewalk. Like, whoa, take it
yeah,
easy.
that's it. That's it exactly. It's, you know, you're stepping out of the way so someone can step here, and it becomes this complicated geometry of
Have a
social.
new dance.
Yes, it's um. Well, you know, you said kind of how you feel about where Monolord is, and kind of the fact that you've been able to sustain yourselves. I know you did the instrumental versions of the albums,
Yeah.
and sort of you know been able to keep momentum despite not being able to get out. Um, how how do you feel about kind of the way that's been received? I mean, what I'm trying to get at is the sort of the you know, it seems like a few bands specifically. Not that the fan base is more dedicated, but maybe more expressive. And Monolord strikes me as a band that has very expressive fans. You know, very pointed fans. Like that's a you know
Mm.
a dedicated fan base. Um, has obviously not seeing people. Um, how do you feel the interaction between the band and the fans has changed?
I mean, it's obviously changed a lot because the main interaction is in real life. We always try to keep in touch with people online as much as we can, but it's hard because so many contacts and so many texts and all that. But so I mean, it's changed in the way that we can meet people in real life. Actually, that's more or less the full answer, and that's a big difference. For me, going on tour, that's a really big part of the tour. Apart from me on stage, which is the main reason, of course, but meeting the fans in person is that's amazing. I love that, and we don't have that, and it's kind of hard to replace. If you, I mean, you can reply to a message or and yeah, but that's that's basically what you can do. Can't do much else. So it takes away a lot. You feel really distant, distanced from the fans and from the world of the band. Actually, I don't think I've. This period of the pandemic feels like sometimes the band feels almost theoretical. It's like, is this even a band? It is, and we meet up and we make music, but what makes a band or makes our band real is playing live and meeting people, and we don't do that. And taking that away, it's kind of a mild identity crisis, a little bit, because what defines us is playing live,
Right.
and we don't play live. So what defines us now? Until we play live again, it's kind of whoa, hey,
Right.
trying to find and trying to find a new framework, more or less, to make sense of what is right now. And I think for us, it's just been keeping making music and working on new stuff, which we do regardless, but even more focused on like, okay, we have to keep just making music. Uh, and for me, it's been like that's been the thing that made me feel like the band is still a real band. Uh, and speaking of where we are now in the middle of the pandemic, it's made me realize that it must be so weird for the really big arena bands with like release an album, go on a world tour, and then do nothing for like 7 years, and then another album and another like AC/DC or bands like that.
Yeah.
The 7 years in between must be like, is this even a band or just like some reference logo somewhere? And this is the micro version of the same thing. I feel like we're not on tour. What is this? Is the Monolord thing just fading or evaporating into thin air? It isn't. I'm not afraid of it, but sometimes you get that feeling. It's like if playing live defines us, but it's really hard to find what defines us now because we don't play it, and we don't know when we get to play live again.
Right. How does that translate then to the process of writing, putting new songs together? You know, putting more into that, or putting different energy into that. How does that?
The noticeable difference is actually time. We've been able to put way more time into pre-production and rehearsing and getting to the almost sometimes the feel of how it feels having played a song live for like 4 tours or something, which you're never able to do ever. I mean,
Right.
Almost always you write material and then you record it and then you tour on it. So after a few tours, it's like, oh, that's right, that's how this song is supposed to sound like. So it's a making albums is a really weird process. It's kind of you document some music before it's done. It's kind of that feeling sometimes. So we have these songs, we play them like this right now, but after a few tours, they kind of find their way and their form and expression. But this time, we've had the time to just rehearse to reach closer to that level or that feeling. It's not that I feel that we've played the other albums bad. It's just the way you play them or the nuances you find after you've played the song like 100 times. So time is a real big difference. It's kind of the same way we work the same way we've always done, but with more time on our hands, which been so nice. No stress this time. It's just been really, it's been nice. Enjoying the process.
It's interesting. How do you that? Well, I guess in what ways has older material changed for you, sort of playing it live?
Sorry, I lost you. In what ways have
Has older material changed for you from playing it live? Like, just looking for an example of something.
it's kind of it's super small nuances. It's I mean most people wouldn't probably even recognize the differences, but it's the feeling you get after you played like Empress Rising 500 times. It feels completely different now than it did when we recorded it. It's kind of built into the backbone. That's this song. It sounds like this. It feels like this.
Muscle memory.
Yeah, exactly. And the muscle memory is more refined the more you play it, of course. And you get more of a, or at least for me, I get more of a vibe for a song than the technical structure of a song, which is the first kind of the embryo of making and recording and rehearsing a song. Is like first you have 4 parts of this and then this thing and then this and this with the feeling and then the outro. But after a while, you get just the vibe of the song. It looks like this song feels like this, and when you get there, that's when I would prefer to hit record on an album. I know bands in the 60s and 70s were able to do that, but we are the recording and album climate is way different now. They're expected to just make an album straight off, like write it, record it, that's it. Make the best of it.
Right. Well, maybe if you can't tour, maybe you can get there again. I don't know.
Hopefully,
Yeah.
it's been a bonus this time actually.
Yeah. Well, that's it. I mean, that's interesting. you guys are lucky to be sort of so self-contained enough where not only can you get together on the most basic level,
Yeah,
but
exactly.
but you do, you are experienced recording yourselves. You have done it before. Even working in a new space, you're familiar with working on that level, sort of bringing the band to life in the studio. um, Strikes me as preferable to the alternative, certainly, where you're flailing trying to figure out how to find an engineer who can leave their house. um,
Yeah, of course.
um,
Big,
do you have I mean, obviously you're kind of getting your footing in the new place. I noticed you mastered the new Spelljammer, which sounds great. uh, do you anything else coming up in the studio other than working on the new Monolord stuff?
yes, there is nothing official yet, but there's quite a few productions and a little bit of online work as well.
Mhm.
Uh, or actually a lot of online work since the pandemic.
Yes, obviously,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, obviously. So yeah, I have work, and it's great. It's
I'm
amazing.
I'm glad.
I didn't know it would happen so quickly after I took the studio, but that's amazing. That's great, and I hope for that when the pandemic fog has cleared, that bands come here, of course,
Mhm.
with me in this space. But yeah, starting to rolling a little bit.
Mm.
So, yeah, I'm working.
Does it feel weird to? I mean, does it feel kind of weird to have something so positive happen at such a terrible time?
Yes,
Right? It's gotta feel kind of strange, right? Like obviously, you guys can't tour, and you say you can't get out, see people, love seeing people. I get that. At the same time, you you're in your own studio space working on a new record. These are positive steps. Buying your own studio is fucking huge,
it
right?
is
That's huge.
crazy.
That's a major not only investment but like a major life change.
It is
So
absolutely.
does it has to feel strange to be like taking these forward steps at a time where so much of the world is just on standstill.
Yes, it does. It feels completely upside down. I don't know what more to say. It feels super weird. But like I said before, it's like I'm eternally restless. I don't feel very good by just sitting and waiting for stuff to happen. And I felt that okay, I need to make something happen. And when this door opened, I'm just like I got to do this. I really got to do this. This is an opportunity that won't come again probably. Um, Getting the opportunity to buy a fully functioning studio just a 10-minute walk from home. Yeah, it's crazy. And I felt like, okay, the pandemic is a reality. It's here, and I have no idea what the future is going to look like for anything I've done before the pandemic, and maybe that won't even come back after the pandemic.
Right.
So I gotta make something worthwhile with what I've got right now, and that is working with bands online, which I've been doing the past year. Because no one's touring, and people are contacting me from all over the place, master or mix or yeah. Um, but kind of it felt kind of a natural move and really weird and upside down and scary and all that at the same time.
Right.
Um, so yes, it's weird. That was a really long yes. It's really crazy. It feels so crazy that, but at the same time, Sweden is not at a standstill. It's not. There's no lockdown in that sense. There are restrictions, but the society is functioning almost as normal compared to the rest of the world. So it's kind of it feels kind of weird to be in Sweden in general. compared to the rest of the world. Kind of,
Okay.
I see the news from all over the place, all over the world, and then look out the window and see the city I live in, which is completely different from that. So, I mean, what I'm getting at, I think, is that everything is weird right now. Everything is surreal. I think it's hard to grasp what's happening and what's not happening, and yeah, and it's really hard to grasp because for me, it's hard to grasp because I can't grasp the future. I have no idea what's happening in any aspect of making music or recording music or mixing or mastering or anything. It's kind of I have no idea. So much is gonna change. I think the studio world is gonna change as well because now even more. I think many have realized how much work you can do online, which many knew before. But now when you're forced to do it online,
Right.
you see how easy it is. So I think, but that's just a guess. But I'm guessing that studio work is going to be different. It's going to be as much online work as local work with people actually coming to the studio. But that's just guesswork. I don't know that.
Well, I mean, that shifts the balance, right, in sort of the job of mixing and mastering,
Yeah.
right? So you're set up. Shit. All right.
I hope. Let's see.
Right. We'll see.
Maybe bankruptcy in like 2 weeks. We'll see.
Right. That, I guess, would be the alternative. Yes.
Yes. Everything's black and white. Nothing in between.
Right. It's interesting times.
Indeed.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna stop recording for a second, but
Sure.
let me say thank you again, Esben, for taking the time and for chatting with me about this weird unknowable present and the weird unknowable future.
Thank you.
So and okay, hang on a second.